All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, this is the follow-up to the Knight's Tour or Night Tour video that I had created earlier, and I just want to go over essentially the fixes to get it to actually work properly. So the first fix, the first issue I found was one of these was duplicated. So I believe it was, I don't know, it was down right or right down or something like that. One of those was duplicated, so I had the same number twice. So I had like 2-1, and then down here I had like 2-1 again. So that was a little typo. Whoops. So that was fixed, but it still didn't fix the entire issue. So what I ended up doing was a few things. One thing to actually fix the problem, and then a couple others just to make things nicer in terms of the output for the program, as you can sort of see here in the output. I guess I can clear that for now. We'll get to that in a second. So essentially what had to happen was the concept of recursion, once we get through all of these attempts, all of the moves, right up, up right, up left, left up, all those moves, if we go through all these moves and we sort of punch out at the end afterwards. So if we make it to line 77 in this code, that means that we weren't able to successfully make any of these moves. Because if we were able to make any of these moves successfully, it would be going into one of these methods and continuing the process of recursion. So essentially, it would never get down to here if it was successful. The only time it would get down to here, the only time if it would get down to here where it was successful versus not successful is if the move count is equal to the size of the board, right? So in other words, your n. So if the board size is 8 by 8, then you should, if your move count has hit 64 and it cannot move anymore, then that means we're successful. We should print out our solution because we made it to the end, the last square, successfully. So this is a good case, right? So if we make it to the end of all these and the move count equals the size of the chessboard squared, then we are happy. However, if we make it to the end of all this and the move count does not equal, I should say here, does not equal the size of the chessboard squared, then that means that we were sort of stuck. There's still more moves to be done, but we're stuck where we are. We can't move where we are currently at in the algorithm. So what I essentially needed to do was reset the chessboard position to be not visited, and I returned false just to get the algorithm kicking off and going again. The returning false right now, I don't really do much with the return false. I could, but that's just not what I chose to do for this one. I found it sufficed to just output the contents of the grid, what's called the chessboard, output the contents of the chessboard if we get to this spot. So that's essentially the fix and what was going wrong with the code previously. I was not doing this previously. So that's a realization I came to, and I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. The second sort of modifications I made, and these were not necessary modifications, but I felt that they were nice to be able to see my output and confirm that my output is correct. I changed the chessboard, the data type for the array, or multi-dimensional array. I changed it from Boolean to int. So I made an int because I want to keep track of the move count, and I want to see where the knight moved at which spot on the chessboard. So I'll show you what that output looks like. And then here I'm just initializing, I guess I can comment this code. Oops. Initialize chessboard with -1 values in all squares. So this way all of them are, -1 essentially represents, -1 represents not visited. Therefore, not -1 means visited, right? So there you go. And what else did I make in terms of changes? I passed the size of the chessboard in as well into our try to move function or method. So this was just needed because I needed to check the size of the chessboard down here to see if we'd hit the move count equal to the size of the chessboard square. So that's why I need to pass it in as well. But I think that's pretty much all the changes I made. I sort of commented out. I had some code here to just, print out the move count. But when you let this go, it goes on and on and on and on. And there's a whole bunch of output. But really all I care about is outputting here. So this code, I output the multi-dimensional array. So I just do the for loop from I, 0 to size of chessboard, and j from 0 to size, or size chessboard minus 1 essentially. That's j less than, not less than or equal to. And then I just do a system out print on the chessboard. So if I run this, currently I have it set at size 8. If I run it, there you go. I get the output. So you see it starts here and then goes to this space, and then move 2 is here, and then move 3 is here, move 4, 5, 6, 7. You get the idea. 8. So it goes through the entire chessboard, and if you trace this all out, it all works perfectly. And I can validate that by looking at in our Knights Tour Java backtracking website. They have an output here, sample output, and if you look, 0, 59, 38, 33, the first row, 0, 59, 33, or 38, 33, blah, 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 ends at 63. The next row, 37, 34, 31, blah, 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 ends at 16. So you can sort of verify the four corners, 12, 51, 0, 12, 51, 0. So it looks like my output is identical to their output, which means my algorithm is working correctly. So there you go. Just wanted to make sure I got that update out to you guys. And I will upload the code to GitHub. Perhaps I will create that right now in GitHub. So I will go and create a new, let me see, new repository. I'll call it the Knights Tour. And I'll make it public and I'll initialize it and blah, blah, blah. So there we go. So that's essentially the URL for this will be github.com/tp02ga/knightstour.git. That's where you can go to download all this code. I'll upload it to this right after I finish recording this video. So there you have it. Hopefully that was of use to you. Hopefully you found that to be helpful. If ever you're asked that question in an interview, now you have the solution. Hopefully you can remember back to all the shenanigans we got up to in this last video. So as always, take care of yourself, happy learning, and bye for now.